They're back together Thursday night as Oscar and Felix in The Odd Couple right here on CBS. The show was last season's #1 new comedy. We like when that happens, with more than 11 million viewers. Here's a preview of the second season premiere.
Hors d'oeuvres are ready.
Ooh, generic Cool Ranch chips. What's the occasion?
What are you talking about? We're gonna watch Boobs and Dragons.
It's called Game of Thrones. And I'm so sorry, but I already watched this week's episode with Emily.
After all the trouble I went through, look, I made dip.
So you've been working out.
And don't you spend enough time with Emily? This is the only thing we like to do together. And you know the saying.
Yes, I know. Gents before wenches. Yes. And I'm sorry, we'll watch next week. I'm actually due down at Emily's right this minute. So.
I thought we were gonna see boobs, but if you'd rather hang out with a girl.
Matthew Perry and Thomas Lennon are here at the table. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Listen,
so good.
Matthew, I heard from reliable sources, Thomas, listen to this, that this season is better than last season. That's what I heard.
This season is definitely better. We kind of came...
Nora, didn't you hear the same thing?
I did. I heard the same
Did you hear that too?
Yes.
Did I tell you that?
Yes.
There was 3 whole episodes season 1. I was just yodeling in the subway. Those were terrible episodes.
I would say our worst episode this year is better than our best episode last year. We really came into our own this year.
Why is this?
I think the more times you do something, the better you get at it. And I think the cast got better, and I think the writing got better, and I think we kind of gelled this year, and it became a really great show. It was a really good show last year, but I think it's a great show this year.
Yeah, Charlie, he told us in the green room it's really much better this season. So
But that's that's hard to believe. I mean, it's the #1 comedy, as Gail just mentioned, 11.5 million viewers. But you're going to kind of pick it up a notch. But Tom, I understand there's a nude scene.
I do. This is very exciting news. This is the first, to my knowledge, of all the Odd Couples, this is the first Felix Unger nude scene is coming up in this season. And
what did you do to prepare?
I'll tell you what I did was I averted my eyes.
That's like, you actually came by and gave me a bunch of notes that day, remember?
No, that's right.
Yeah, so he came by, I was standing just with a top hat, and Matthew decided that he'd give me a
Top hat where?
Covering the
cleverly
area.
placed.
Oh, covering the area.
The smallest top hat you ever saw in your life.
Well, you said it.
But Matthew came by and gave me some pointers that day, as I recall.
But when you first saw the script, were you apprehensive about it? Or you said this will be fun. I'm just going to have a good time with it.
I was very apprehensive about it, and it was a very stressful thing. When you know you have a nude scene coming up for months in advance, it's a distressing thing. But it's a great motivator.
Yeah.
But also, Thomas works out all the time.
Okay.
So when we first started the first season and the second season, he would lift. I saw him carrying all this exercise equipment into his dressing room. What's that shaking machine?
I have a vibration plate. It's very exciting.
Oh, yeah, I know these.
Have you been on a vibration plate?
Yeah.
He
You
brought
and
it
me,
into
Charlie.
his dressing
Yep.
room.
There you go.
We get our shirts off, we get on the vibration plate. You and me,
He would
throw in and out.
carry all of that stuff in.
Wait a minute,
And
what
I
is
brought in an Xbox, and that was it.
You've got the right idea.
Yeah.
And a lot of Red Bull.
And a lot of Red Bull.
Yeah.
But are you surprised all these years later that Odd Couple still resonates with people?
I'm not surprised, actually.
You're not.
It's a wonderful idea for... Neil Simon was brilliant, and it was a wonderful idea for a play and a movie and a TV show, in that it just puts two people who are complete opposites and forces them to be together. And comedy...
And there's no
ensues.
romantic
Yeah.
relationship between the two either.
There's no romantic relationship on screen.
No. Although we almost have a kissing scene, remember?
Yeah, remember, and I
there's a
was really
moment-
sick that day.
You were really sick that day, and Matthew...
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Normally in these roommate things, there's that sexual tension between the two parties, regardless of what the sexual orientation
You
is.
feel it now, right?
I know, I feel
But
it.
remember, we do have an almost kissing scene because you have a nightmare.
Yeah.
Terry Hatcher plays a big role this
Terry
year in the show.
Hatcher's gonna
Terry
do it
Hatcher
in
is
the
on
Yeah,
the show.
she plays
yeah.
my girlfriend on
Yeah.
the show this year.
And sometimes you think you see me when it's her, and it's sort of basically a nightmare scenario.
Well, you're wearing her dress.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we getting people to watch the show with my nude scene and I'm wearing Terry Hatcher's dress?
And I'm about to change the subject.
Oh, okay, good.
What about your work as a playwright in London?
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Are you glad Charlie changed the subject?
I am. Unless we want to talk more about the nudity and the kissing with Tommy.
I sort of lost interest.
Yes, I wrote a play called The End of Longing that is now being performed in London at the Playhouse Theatre, and it's doing very well, and we're getting standing ovations, and it's been really a rewarding
The
experience.
first play you've written?
First play I've ever written. First thing I've ever written by myself.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's on stage in London?
On
in the
stage
West
in London.
End or
In the
somewhere?
West End, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something you always wanted to do, right?
I wanted to see if I could write something by myself, and so I sat down in front of my computer and started writing. And what came out were these monologues. It just came out, these monologues, and I realized, oh, I'm writing a play.
It's about addiction.
It has to do with addiction and other things, but my character is a drunk who, so I have a lot of drunk scenes, and he deals with addiction. Yeah.
And so, in terms of pride in work, where do you put this?
Pretty high up. I'm really proud of the play. I'm really happy with the fact that it's getting standing ovations and
That's
people are
nice.
really
You're really
loving
putting
it.
yourself out there with a play like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you
true.
really are.
Yeah.
Thomas, what do you want to do that you haven't done yet? We know what Matthew wants. In a sentence, please.
I would like to fly around.
And
in one
don't
of
name him a woman.
those- I would like to fly around in one of those squirrel suits. Is what I would like to do.
All right.
Really?
Yeah,
That
you ever
can
seen those
happen.
squirrel
We could
suit
probably
guys
do
flying
that.
around?
You can catch the season
Shirley, you
premiere of The
and me.
Odd Couple Thursday night at
Squirrel suits.
8:30, 7:30 Central right here on
Vibration.
CBS.
So
We'll be
I
right
write
back.
a play.